We just had Vicky Rahmic from Perth in Western Australia join us to discuss all things the business of weddings, where the growth opportunities lie, how to work in the luxury market in the most isolated city in the world, what couples are actually looking for online, and how to connect with the global wedding community. Go for gold. I am here with Vicky Rahmic from Perth in Western Australia, who is a luxury wedding planner and designer, has been working in the industry for a number of years. If you see anything amazing coming out of this region in Australia, Vicky definitely has a part to play in it. So I just want to welcome you, Vicky.
Thanks for having me.
It's really exciting for me to be talking to you. We were just discussing a little bit earlier that Perth is the most isolated city in the world. What is happening in the wedding industry there? And what can you tell us about the future of the wedding industry that you hope to see happen in your amazing city?
So we've got a lot going on with weddings. Obviously, we've got people changing the way that they consider their wedding day, from having them, obviously we've always had them outdoors, but finding really great locations where I suppose we're trying to get the European vibe at the moment. Is we're bringing it into our weddings. I'm really just elevating weddings generally from maybe what we didn't see 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, I really think that European sort of Tuscan style wedding has from an aesthetic perspective really taken over. People want to feel like they're getting married in an estate. They want it to look like a destination wedding, even if it's not. The weather, talk to us about the weather. Is it quite seasonal? Is there opportunity for more outdoor weddings to take place in Perth than other parts of Australia I guess?
Our biggest issue with the weather is usually the wind.
Okay.
A lot of couples like the idea of getting married on the coast, on the beach. You've got the sunset with the Indian Ocean.
Wow.
But logistically, wind can create a bit of an issue for us all over Perth. We do have the days where obviously it's quite flat, there's no wind at all, and that's what we all hope and pray for.
Yeah.
We do have to put contingency plans in for wind as well.
Yeah.
Outdoors. In terms of weather, I mean, summer we go from 30 to 44 degree
Wow.
heat. So the biggest issue for us is the clear marquees, where anything over 30 degrees can be 70 degrees underneath there, and we need to ensure that we've got our white covers over, just to protect our staff, protect the florals, and then be able to produce a wedding that everybody's happy and comfortable under as well. Of
course. I think that's one thing that so many people don't realize. We see these amazing weddings taking place, in the Middle East or in Europe or in Asia, and we think that can be done anywhere. But the reality is the weather is one of the key and critical factors of a wedding. You were just telling me about some of the weddings that are coming from Singapore. So you have Singaporean couples coming through, guests coming from London and New York. Tell me about how they experience WA at the moment, and what your city, your capital city, has to offer.
So for our clients, we give them an all-rounded service, and that includes looking after their guests. So we put travel itineraries for their guests in place as well. If they're looking at getting married in the Margaret River region, we then also have to look at the logistics of taking them from Perth for a 3.5-4 hour drive down south as well, and accommodating all those people. So we don't have big resorts to be able to accommodate. So like if we've got guest parties of 120 to 150. So just logistically finding accommodation, but really finding the downtime that they're not at the wedding and the couple getting ready. We need to create or find activities for them to do. We're sending them on tours with guests coming, and even couples coming from overseas. We're looking at 1 to 2 weeks, and then they're looking at moving on to, say, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, to experience Australia as a whole.
That's the thing about destination weddings, is that the guests aren't just coming for 2 days for the wedding. They're actually staying and extending their time. And you're saying that you actually have travel services available for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to. Otherwise, we have a lot of clients, a lot of guests that are just lost, not knowing how to get anywhere, do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, just hiring cars, the amount of cars that would need to be hired to go down there. So it's easier to have a central point of accommodation here for 1 or 2 nights in Perth, and then take everybody down with the bus down there, and having them all on time and picked up on time for the wedding. It's a big service just organising their travel plans.
Yeah, I think when I talk about destination weddings, I say it's about logistics, right? And that's what you're essentially doing. I want you now to throw a few questions to me about your business, what your thoughts are in relation to weddings in 2025.
So I'm finding that there's a lot more DIY brides, couples that are looking for more budget wedding planners, and that's not where we sit in the market. We're the mid to high-end luxury weddings. So I'm just trying to find, I suppose, how we continue our marketing to still bring these clients in when marketing on Instagram, on everything has changed since COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID days, Instagram was a lot of fun for a lot of business owners. Now it feels like a chore. It's kind of one of those things that, you know, not every day is the algorithm working for you. The wedding market on social media is quite saturated as well. And couples can't pick the apples from the oranges. I think that's one thing. Everyone's sharing their best work. So you're going to see the best of everything online. What that tends to create is a bit of a, hold on a second, if I'm going to contact this person and this person, this person and this person, and I'm asking about price, then it almost creates a price war where people are competing for the attention of the couple. I think when we're pitching into the premium and luxury market, it's about the complexities that actually exist within that. What you were just saying, organizing cars that need to travel 3.5 hours outside of the city, understanding the logistics, understanding weather conditions. This is what couples need to be educated on. We as an industry, and what I encourage you and other planners and designers to do, is get in front of the camera, which I know is not the easiest thing in the world, but actually talk about what it means to plan a wedding and what it took to get to that point, rather than sharing just the end result. So then couples are more educated in terms of what they're actually asking for, because if they're receiving 3 or 4 quotes, they think they're comparing the same type of service. And we know the more complex the wedding, the more you need a wedding planner.
I feel that my pricing is competitive with what's in the market. I suppose I struggle with conveying that to potential clients, to say this is what we have to offer, and we do offer so much more because it is that white glove service.
It is essential that when you guys are quoting, and I'm talking to you and to all planners out there, that it's really clear in terms of the team, the manpower, the hours, the contacts, all of those things are spoken about in a way that makes sense to the couple. You speak to a couple, they don't even know what bump in and bump out is. They don't even understand that terminology. We use these terms in the industry. We need to be using terms that make sense to the couple and have them really understand what's involved here, so we can take the pressure off, but also make sure that they're booking the right service providers.
Breaking into a new market can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
I traveled to Europe last year and we spent some time in Italy. That was planned so I could really get my feet on the ground, know where everything is, understand logistics and trains and airports. And we did venue site visits, met a lot of vendors as well along the way. And we did a styled shoot in Italy. I suppose my question to you would be, breaking into a new market, even if it is in, say, to the East Coast, having established vendors already there, established wedding planners, how do you position yourself into that market when you have that established brand already there?
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of planners are considering, because they can see that there is a demand in their local market where they're known, but also abroad. So you might have a bride come to you who's living in Perth who says, I want to have a wedding in Italy. I saw you were recently there. Can you do my wedding? And really for us, the reason why we've established the Wedded Network is to ensure that you're constantly up to date and connected with people on the other side of the world. And also that the information and the knowledge sharing is being passed on. And again, quoting. You know, when we're putting quotes together for these international weddings, we need to understand that we're competing now on a global level. Are you quoting in Australian dollars? Are you quoting in euro? How do the payments actually take place? How are you going to pay your international service providers? All of these things need to come into consideration, and the fact that you're probably going to be working through the night to be able to manage the time zone difference as well. So these are the types of things that need to really be explained. From an online perspective, I think it's really important that you do say, based in Perth, working in destination weddings across Europe, and actually really start to build out those relationships we were discussing earlier if you spoke a second language, because again, Eastern Europe is a place that a lot of people are considering. Most of the time with destination weddings, it's a local planner and an international planner that are actually collaborating. And we love to see that, but we also like to create those opportunities, of course, as well.
Absolutely. So how could I balance our authenticity, the cultural sensitivity together to better cater for the international clients?
It's about actually talking about those cultural considerations, because as a planner, if you don't understand how these rites of passage play out and the importance of that, you're going to lose the couple, particularly with Indian weddings, with Chinese weddings. You need to get it. The more that you understand that, the more you talk about that online, the more you talk about these traditions and these cultural considerations, the more people will see that you're globally minded and that you can actually service couples anywhere in the world.
How would I effectively tell the story and say my behind the scenes content, show that to emotionally engage, I suppose, with the clients, because obviously they can't see us in the office. Yes. And the amount of hours that we do, they come into the reveal, they say, wow, this is amazing, but they don't see how much effort.
Yeah.
The day is the day, but all the work as a wedding planner and a designer, all the work is done like months in advance.
Of course.
How do I show that on Instagram, on stories, on reels?
Yeah.
To show potential clients?
I think that you need to think about it like a Pinterest board, where you're actually putting together a content calendar. So your Pinterest board of how you curate the style of a wedding needs to now reflect how you want to curate your storytelling and content. So I need 9 pieces of content, and these content pieces need to be me behind the scenes, choosing the florals, going for a site visit, having a conversation with production, and really storytell all of those different components of pulling the wedding together. Have an amazing content creator with you, actually filming you. Make sure that you're mic'd up so the sound's amazing. Where there are so many content creators that we're connected with in our network that actually not only cover the wedding, but can do all of the behind the scenes storytelling as well. And that content more often than not goes viral, because people want to see that behind the scenes, especially when you're building out the wedding. It's that kind of content that a lot of people resonate with because they can see the work. So I talk about stories being the conversation on your Instagram stories, and the feed where you put up your post really should be the gallery, the end result.
See, that's what I struggle with, is having this perfectly curated Instagram page. I mean, don't want to have memes and everything over it, because you want to position yourself where you do in the market.
Yeah.
But also that's what drives engagement and gets more people looking and watching your page as well. So
yeah.
so you're saying to put that type of stuff in, like keep it in the reels and then have your end product.
And really have an amazing thumbnail, because what that needs, if you're worried about what it looks like, make sure that that cover photo is on brand and aesthetically pleasing. Really what people connect with today is the storytelling, is the founder-led content, is you talking about the making of.
Essentially, that's our portfolio that we're
exactly
showing
right.
to everybody. Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first reference point. I talk often about 97% of couples, if they've heard about you from another couple, if a venue's referring to you, they're going to jump on your Instagram, and that's where they're going to make the judgment call of whether they're going to connect with you or not.
How would you bring the messaging in? Say what you have on the website and your services. So you have your brochure, you've got your services. For example, mine is, I'm very transparent. Everything is there on the website.
Yep.
But how do I bring that messaging into, say, Instagram, to say, because it's a very long list, so I can't list everything in one caption. So would you take snippets from the website of what, one particular item and then expand on that?
I would, yeah. I think that's a really good idea. And I think the way that you need to think about your content on Instagram in particular is that 30% of it needs to be aspirational, inspirational, 30% should be education-led, and 30% needs to be around your products and services. So when you actually break that down, you've got enough there that makes people want you, but you've also got enough that you're talking about and you're educating people about, that they actually understand what your services are. You know, what we do on Wedded Wonderland, we have the Wedded Business Digest. So on a Monday, I'm speaking to businesses. So on a Monday or on a Wednesday, you could call it like, you know, Wedding Wednesday, where that's your day where you're explaining what you do for your couples. And that's the day where you actually talk about your products. And so you share a few stories, and you might share a reel around your product offering on a Wednesday. I'm going to talk about a venue inspection, what we go through. I'm going to talk about organizing a local destination wedding and the logistics of that. And you break that down week by week. You can do it as a series. And then that way people have something to look forward to, but they also know that it all ties in together because it's a series about what Vicky Rahmic does in relation to weddings.
I think that's great, but I really struggle with bringing it all together. So I really like that idea. I feel like I'm a little bit stuck at the moment. I'm advertising every single day. I'm actually posting every day on Instagram. Yeah. I'm posting in Facebook groups. I've got paid ads on Instagram going, but I feel like, I suppose, my messaging isn't hitting right. I don't know how to explain it. I'm in this stage of, we're going from mid-range weddings to high-end luxury weddings, and we're sort of in this middle part where it's really hard to break this top tier.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure, is the messaging different to like a mid-range wedding to a luxury wedding? And what am I missing there?
I definitely think that the messaging in luxury is a little different because you are speaking to a client who's not price conscious. So for them, they're really looking at what value you bring. But when we talk about the luxury market, and the reason why we've actually set up the network, and, you know, we were talking earlier in terms of what we can do in Perth to connect the dots for you. 50% of your business should be coming from referrals and from word of mouth and from industry connections. So if you aren't working with venues and with bridal boutiques and with other service providers in actually that value exchange, you're missing out on a large portion of the market, because the luxury market is largely about who you're connected to. A social media market is a little bit more competitive, and you will get a social media bride who will send a request out to 15 planners. The luxury market will ask 3 people, and whoever they tell them to go to, that's who they're going to consider. So it actually converts quicker, and it does sit at a higher price point. You will attract the luxury market through social media, but it's very what we call in marketing top of funnel. We need to ensure that when they're actually engaging with you and they're looking at your website, they're looking at your product offering, they're looking at your packages, that it aligns with what they're after. They look at the brands you're associated with. You know, we talk about brand hijacking in marketing as well.
I think with systems and processes, the last 6 months, I've really taken everything, stripped everything back to basics and put some really good processes and systems in place, and really taking what clients before have said as well about our service and not taking that as criticism and really trying to elevate it for the next lot of clients. I suppose in a business sense, once you've got the structure of like your industry down pat, what other systems and processes should I be, I suppose, putting in place so I know that I'm on track?
You know, when I speak to a lot of planners and I say, how are you faring from a profitability perspective? What does your financial modeling look like? What does the trajectory of the next 12 to 18 months actually look like? Where are your clients coming from? If they're coming from paid ads and they are converting at a higher price point, that's where your energy should go, versus coming from organic, versus coming from referrals. I think it's really important to actually have software that supports the business of weddings, rather than just waiting for that next inquiry to come through or that next quote to go out. Really understanding the financial modeling of where your business can be positioned. And I'm so happy that you're actually considering and thinking that way, because we are so busy working in our businesses as opposed to on the business, and actually thinking, well, do I bring on more clients, and is that only going to cause me more work and a little bit more heartache and less time, and I'm not bringing any value actually into the business? Or can I actually lift my price point, or potentially have additional products and services that I can offer that actually allows me to only service X amount of couples, but I'm far more profitable?
Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and we look forward to working with you in Perth and of course around the world, and really showcasing what WA can bring when it comes to luxury weddings. Vicky Rahmic, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.